Egész jól nézünk mi ki. Szeretettel köszöntök mindenkit. Jó barátom és régi harcostársam Dani bemutatott, de hadd mutatkozzam be úgy, ahogy én szeretem bemutatni magamat. Kovács István vagyok, hiszek Istenben, szeretem a hazámat, és van 4 csodálatos gyerekem, akikért bármit megtennék a világon. És ezekért a szavakért itt ezen a színpadon tapsár, de hogy a világ milyen őrült hely, azt mi sem mutatja jobban, hogy máshol azért kifütyülnének. És természetesen a határokról szól ez a beszélgetés, de mielőtt színpadra szólítanám kiemelt vendégeinket, hadd osszam meg azt a történetet, hogy hogyan magyaráztam el a gyerekeimnek, hogy mit jelentenek a határok. Itt vannak valahol, nem tudnak megcáfolni, azt hiszem fent ülnek, ott jelentkeznek. Sziasztok! Amikor kicsik voltak, még ennél is kisebbek, akkor egyszer megkaparintották az útlevelemet. És nagyon szerencsés ember vagyok, sok helyen jártam a világon, sok különböző vízum, meg pecsét van benne, és nagyon szerették lapozgatni. Annyira szerették lapozgatni, hogy egy idő után ez lett az esti mese. Végig mentünk, és elmeséltem nekik, hogy ez milyen ország, ez Amerika, ez az. És eljött az az idő, hogy először külföldre mentem velük, Ausztriába, és kérdezték, hogy kell-e nekik útlevél. És mondtam, hogy nem kell útlevél, miért nem kell? Mondom, itt a schengeni együttműködés nehéz lesz elmagyarázni egy 4 meg egy 5 évesnek. Mondtam, hogy úgy képzeljétek el, mint hogyha az ország az egy ház lenne, és a nagyon-nagyon jó barátaidnak megengedett, hogy bármikor átjöjjenek, nem kell engedélyt se kérniük. Mondták, nagyon jó értik. Elindultunk Ausztriába, határon ellenőrzés. Néztek rám, hogy mi történik. Hát mondom, azt nem tudom, hogy mondjam el, hogy a schengeni együttműködés éppen szétesik. Azt mondtam, hogy emlékeztek, hogy a nagyon jó barátaidnak megengedett, hogy bejöjjenek a házba. Ez egy dolog. Viszont amikor mindenkinek megengedett, hogy bejöjjön, akkor olyan emberek is bejönnek, akiket nem szeretnéd, hogy bejöjjenek, és végül oda fogsz kiukadni, hogy mindenkitől, még a barátaitól is meg fogod követelni, hogy engedéllyel lépjenek be. És ez nem jó, mert a schengeni együttműködés az Európai Uniónak az egyik legnagyobb vívmánya volt, ami kézzelfogható eredményeket hozott nekünk is magyaroknak, de azt látjuk, hogy az illegális migráció miatt éppen a megszűnés szélére került a Schengen is. És hogyha nincsenek határok, akkor nincs rend, akkor rendetlenség van egy országban. Azt hiszem, hogy Magyarország példaértékű munkát végez. Erről is fogunk beszélgetni, úgyhogy eljött az idő, hogy színpadra szólítsam kiemelt vendégeinket sorban. Először is Ellie Cohanim, aki egy veterán amerikai diplomata és Trump elnök korábbi antiszemitizmus elleni megbízottja. A másodjára Fabrice Leggerit, aki a francia Rassemblement National Európa parlamenti képviselője, és a Frontex korábbi igazgatója, ez az Európai Határvédelmi Ügynökség, és végül, de nem utolsó sorban, Samy Gemayel urat Libanonból, aki a libanoni parlament tagja a Kataeb párti képviseletében. Kérem, hogy fogadjuk őket nagy tapssal. Welcome to the panel. This is your mic. So I just realized how good the composition is of this panel, because we cover different parts of the globe, and yet migration is a problem everywhere. So I would like to start with France, which is a fine example of what's happening if, you know, a political regime refuses to address the problem of mass migration. So, Monsieur Leggeri, if you can expand a little bit, what has Monsieur Macron, as the president, has done with migration, or maybe has not done with migration? Is he even like acknowledge the problem, or simply ignore its existence? Please.
Well, thank you for the question. I will be very straightforward. President Macron has done nothing. Nothing good for France. And last week, there was a discussion about possible referendum in France. And my political party, Rassemblement National, proposed migration policy. And to that, President Macron answered, I don't see the point. What do you mean? There is no issue. While we know that more than 70 or 80% of French people say there are too many migrants, especially illegal migrants in France. So he has done nothing. He pretends he's acting. So 2 years ago, his government proposed a legislation, and then they pretended that they accepted our amendments to be a little bit more tough on migration and stricter. And then there was a very cynical behavior. So the government, so Macron's government, accepted all these amendments. And then the president, so President Macron, asked the Constitutional Court to assess whether all these amendments are in line with the Constitution. And the Constitutional Court said, well, these amendments are out of the scope of the legislation, but the Constitutional Court didn't say it's against the Constitution. So that's the kind of tricks President Macron is doing.
Okay, so you're saying that Monsieur Macron and his regime simply ignores the whole problem. What about you and your parties? You are a member of the Patriots, and this group has a very certain opinion on mass migration. So what's your opinion and what's the reality in France? Has mass migration anything to do with the increasing crime rates, increasing number of anti-Semitic accidents or crimes?
Well, the situation we are facing in France is simply a disaster, because we see the result of this chaos, migration chaos. And for example, we have now an increase in criminality rate. Women don't feel safe anymore in Paris, and even in places that used to be safe places. There is unfortunately an increase in rapes, and this is of course denied by authorities trying again to fix it with some kind of tricks, changing statistics, definition. And there is an appalling surge in anti-Semitic speeches, and not only anti-Semitic speeches, but also violent actions, physical actions against Jewish community in France. So we have, in fact, a situation where we have President Macron, who is, I would say, an extreme centrist, extreme center political leader, allied to the left and the far left, those campaigning with the Palestinian flag and saying Gaza, 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 and we are saying France, 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 European citizen during the electoral campaign.
It sounds to me that it's very similar what you had in the US during the last administration. So I've been told, and this number seems to be too high, however, you confirm or deny that more than 10 million illegal migrants entered the southern border under the regime of Joe Biden. Is it real? Is it valid?
So I want to thank you for this fantastic question. And before I answer, because I am sitting on Hungarian soil, I want to just take one quick moment to thank the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban. And he is, yes, one of the world's most courageous leaders today, and there's a lot to discuss on that. I want to just speak on one point as a Jew, as an American, as a human being. When the International Criminal Court, the kangaroo court that it is, when it decided to target the Jewish state of Israel in its anti-Semitic way, as we found out that the leader of the ICC is himself perhaps an alleged criminal, Karim Khan, there was one European leader who stood up against the ICC, who stood with Israel, who stood with morality and showed Europe what morality is in 2025. So join me in thanking Prime Minister Viktor Orban for his leadership. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Yes. And so now I'll get to your question about the United States and our border. It's hard to believe, but in fact, under the failed previous Biden administration, there were in fact over 10 million illegal crossings from our southern border. And if you think about that number, 10 million, it's more than the population of Hungary. So just understand that for a minute. Think about that. That is not just a failed immigration policy. What that is also failed, an appallingly failed national security policy and safety towards the American people. So we quickly saw that President Trump has reversed those by, when he came into office, almost immediately issued an executive order, again, reversing those policies. We now have Remain in Mexico. We have the deportation of illegals back on military planes going back to places like El Salvador and other countries where these illegals have come from. And we're seeing astounding success. I mean, there's almost no illegal migration right now coming into the country because of the president's policies. I'm going to just also answer your question about anti-Semitism. Please. And how the border touches that. What we know under the Biden administration was that there were at least 360 individuals who were on the FBI's known terror list, and they were apprehended. Those were that's about 10% more that tried to come in than had previously under the previous Trump administration. That's the 360 that we knew of. There's almost 2 million individuals who came in on terror lists that we don't know who they are. And clearly, terrorists are a threat to Jews. We saw that with the Washington, D.C. attack last week that left 2 Israeli embassy staff dead. I put this at the feet of the Biden administration. For 15 months, they tolerated a pro-terror movement in the United States. And so when President Trump says that if you have no border, you have no country, he's exactly right.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. However, it seems to me that the situation in Lebanon is even more serious. So, Mr. Gemayel, you're coming from Lebanon, and thanks for coming to Hungary. Maybe the Hungarian audience is not really familiar with the situation of Syrian refugees and migrants in your country. So if you can, please expand a little bit on this.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us here. I came here as an advocate of my country, Lebanon. It's a very small country with 10,000 square kilometers for 5 million inhabitants. We were the 19th most populated country in the world, and then the Syrian conflict started, and we became the 3rd most populated country in the world with almost 580 inhabitants per square kilometer. This is because we added 50% of our population to the previous one. We were 5 million, we became 7, because we have 2,100,000 Syrian migrants in Lebanon. It's like in France, over the 65 million, you add 32 million more to the population, 50% more. And it's been going on for 12 years, started in 2011, today we are 2013, the immigration started, we are today in 2025. The Bashar Assad regime is gone, but the migrants are still there. Before that, they used to tell us it's very dangerous for them to come back. If they come back, they will be persecuted. What is the excuse now? The regime is gone. Why are they still there? So when we go to the UNHCR people, it's the UN in charge of the refugees in Lebanon, and we talk to them about that. They say it should be a voluntary and safe return. It's safe because the regime is gone. Voluntarily, what does that mean? So if I like the place where I am and I'm not volunteer to go back to where I come from, it's my right to stay. So I told the guy, I told him, okay, let's forget about anything that has to do with borders. And let's invite everyone to the most beautiful countries in the world for free. And everyone should be able to enter freely. This is what you're telling me. So if people who come illegally to my country and they like it, because it's nice, it's a beautiful country, I want you all to come to Lebanon one day. If you like the place, you can stay there because you like it. You can go anywhere in the world, and if you like it, you can stay. And you don't have to ask for any permission to do so. So we ended up, so I asked the guy, he is from a Scandinavian country. I asked him, sir, how many refugees do you have in your country? How many Syrian refugees you have in your own country? He said that they did a huge effort and they accepted 5,000, which he was very happy to tell me that he has 5,000 refugees. They accepted them in this Scandinavian country. So I told him, sir, we have 2,100,000. What are you talking to me about? Are you really giving us Lebanese that have been hosting these refugees for 12 years lessons in human rights when we say, please, we need these people to go back home because our country cannot sustain economically on all levels. Electricity, we have a deficit in electricity, in water. All the infrastructure is being damaged because it cannot sustain 50% population more. And they you know what, this is it, and you have to deal with that, and etc., etc. It's like there is a big conspiracy against my country. It's like they want it to be destroyed, especially that Lebanon has a lot of problems economically, politically, etc. So now in addition to the Hezbollah problem and the war with Israel, etc., we have also the Syrian refugee problem. It's like the whole problems of the world are on our back today. So we would love all our friends present here, and through you, through the CPAC, we want to launch this big appeal for all of you to help us in shifting and changing the policy regarding immigration, especially regarding the return of Syrian refugees to Syria, and make it a priority, because this issue is touching Lebanon, Jordan, Turkey, and a lot of European countries.
The whole region. Yes, very well. And you said the conspiracy, and I couldn't agree more. You talked about the designated body of the UN as part of this conspiracy. However, I am deeply convinced that these international bodies are supported by certain NGOs, and not all of them, but vast majority of them coming from or funded by the Open Society Network. And I come back to you, Fabrice, if I may. When you served as the chief executive of the Frontex, did you have any experience with these entities like pushing you towards a certain position?
Well, in fact, I've been leading this agency, Frontex, the European Border and Coast Guard Agency, for 7 years. And then the European Commissioner for Migration and Security, Ylva Jönsson, a socialist from Sweden, told me once that my job is to let migrants in. And that the job of border guards is to welcome migrants. And she was saying that she didn't understand why I wanted to purchase weapons for my border guards and uniforms, although this is in the legislation officially. So we disagreed, and from that point on, I had more and more troubles, political problems, and I could see this conspiracy, as you said, between NGOs, leftist, I would say Islamo-leftist, together with woke ideology. So, in fact, there are forces, many of them funded by Open Society, and they are forces that want simply to destroy our civilization. So I was thinking, why do they hate us like this? What is the reasoning behind? what is the rationale? I don't understand. But the fact is they want to destroy our borders. They want to deconstruct our culture and history. Some weeks ago, I found out that the European Commission is funding Islamist project very close to Muslim Brotherhood, and they want to deconstruct history of Europe, deconstruct history of our Western civilization. And the best way they find is that they let more and more migrants to come, and we have to resist. And this is why the age of patriots is now, and we are ready to win elections. And we see that election after election in Europe, but also in America, in South American countries, the people are waking up. And the people are very clear on the fact they want security, they want order, they want borders, they want to keep their identity, they want to remain who they are. And that's why we stand united.
Very well. So there's hope in Europe as well. It's good to hear. And definitely there's hope in the US, where Donald J. Trump got back in office. And he decided to step up against illegal migration, and he declared, America first. But, of course, we understand America first. However, illegal migration cannot be solved only in America. So, in really short time, how do you see what does America first means with regard to Donald J. Trump's foreign policy? What effect it will have in the problem solving of the Middle East, please.
So America First, as enunciated by President Trump, is really the president's pledge to the American people that he's placing his voters, his people, his citizens as the top priority as he makes every decision, whether foreign policy or domestic policy. As it comes to the border, again, it's his understanding that he wants to secure the country, create a border, and make sure we have a nation. And of course, the border policy affects so many different aspects of people's lives, including security, including protecting ethnic and religious minorities like the Jewish population, and so on. In terms of America First and what we can expect on the global scene, well, first of all, I hope that our European allies, and Hungary, as I mentioned earlier, is the exception and the leader, so we're talking about the other EU states, that they will follow the Trump model. They'll follow the America First and make it a Europe First model, where they will take steps to deport these people who have come into Europe to undermine European society, right? I'm talking about people who, from childbirth, have been indoctrinated to not only hate Jews, but to hate Christians and to hate all of Western civilization. So it behooves Western countries to reverse their suicidal open borders and migration policies, as we're seeing President Trump do in the United States. As it comes to the Middle East, I think we're seeing the president just returning from a historic visit to the Gulf and this Riyadh speech, where in Riyadh the president also acknowledged the sovereignty of Middle Eastern states and the political and social history of those ancient civilizations, and said that we are no longer exporting our values on you. We're going to be partners with you to build peace. And to hopefully bring the region to further normalization, recognition of Israel at some point when the time is right, but also just creating a alliance of United States, moderate Muslim countries, Israel. It's a vision that I think we hope that all of Europe will get behind, and that hopefully we're going to see this, this beautiful peace and moderation and real tolerance for each other's ways of life become an international program, international movement, I should say, and truly patriotic, as we're seeing here today.
Unfortunately, I'm one of the organizers, so I have to really keep the time limit. So it's such a shame that we have to end our conversation right here. Thanks for every one of you for your valuable contribution and for coming to CPAC. And hopefully we meet next year right on the same stage where we can continue our conversation. Thank you very much for all of you.